He only wanted to make his ex jealous. But the moment he held his best friend's hand in front of everyone, something changed. She laughed like he was the only man in the world. And for the first time, he realized he'd been chasing the wrong woman all along. What started as a game became the most real, terrifying, and beautiful love of his life. If you believe love can bloom in the most unexpected moments, like and subscribe for more stories that touch your heart. Let's dive in. Ethan Carter had it all: billions in the bank, a penthouse that kissed the clouds, and a reputation as the city's most charming bachelor. But none of it mattered the day he saw the headline: Billionaire heiress to wed tech tycoon, Ethan's ex moves on. His heart dropped into his shoes. Sitting alone in his dark office, Ethan stared at the photo of his ex-fiancée, Isabella, smiling beside her new fiancé. Rage, jealousy, and regret crashed over him all at once. He'd always thought she'd come back. Now the world knew she'd replaced him. His phone buzzed with messages from friends, reporters, and business partners. Each ping felt like a stab. "Have you seen the news? You okay?" Wow, she moved on fast. Ethan knew he couldn't look weak. He couldn't let everyone think he'd lost the perfect woman. He needed a plan, and he needed it fast. That night, he invited his best friend, Lily, to his apartment. She'd been by his side since they were teenagers, the one person who saw him as more than his money. She arrived with her hair in a messy bun, wearing jeans and an old hoodie, holding his favorite takeout. She knew he needed comfort before he even asked. Ethan paced the living room, hands in his hair. "I need your help," he blurted. Lily's eyes widened. "With what?" He took a deep breath, words tumbling out in a rush. "I want you to pretend to be my girlfriend, just until the buzz about Isabella dies down. We'll go to a few parties, post some photos, show the world I've moved on too." Lily blinked. "You want me to fake date you?" "Yes," he pleaded, eyes desperate. "Please, you're the only one I trust. I can't do this with anyone else." She hesitated. They'd been best friends forever. They'd shared secrets, late-night laughs, even fights, but never something like this. She glanced at Ethan's face. The billionaire who always looked so confident was now vulnerable and scared. She sighed softly. "Okay, I'll do it, but only if you promise me one thing." Ethan looked up sharply. "Anything. Promise me this won't ruin us." He swallowed hard. "I promise." Neither of them knew that promise was the first step toward changing everything, and that the line between fake and real was already starting to blur. 2 days later, Ethan and Lily stood in front of the towering glass doors of the city's most exclusive hotel. Inside, hundreds of guests gathered for a glittering charity gala. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead. Music drifted out onto the sidewalk, and photographers crowded near the entrance. Ethan adjusted his cufflinks, his jaw tight. He'd faced boardrooms filled with cutthroat investors without breaking a sweat. But tonight, his hands trembled. Lily, standing beside him in a borrowed silver gown, looked like she belonged on the arm of any billionaire. Her hair fell in soft waves, and her eyes, wide with nerves, caught the light like stars. "Are you sure about this?" she whispered, glancing up at him. Ethan offered a small, shaky smile. "Only if you are." She took a deep breath and slipped her arm through his. "Then let's do it." As they stepped into the ballroom, all eyes turned to them. Conversations paused. Cameras flashed. Ethan's ex, Isabella, stood near the bar, her new fiancé laughing beside her, until she caught sight of Ethan and Lily. Her eyes narrowed, her smile froze. Ethan felt Lily's hand tense against his arm. He leaned down, whispering in her ear, "Just smile. You're doing great." She looked up at him with a nervous laugh. Cheeks flushed the moment their eyes met. Something strange flickered between them, a warmth that had nothing to do with the cameras. For a brief second, the noise of the party faded, and it was just the two of them, lost in each other's gaze. A waiter passed with champagne. Ethan grabbed 2 glasses, handing one to Lily. Their fingers brushed. The spark was small, but it was there, and both of them felt it. Throughout the night, they posed for photos, shared whispered jokes, and stole small glances that felt too real. Every time Lily laughed, Ethan's chest tightened. Every time Ethan brushed a stray hair from her face, Lily's heart skipped. Neither admitted it, but something had shifted. The plan was supposed to be pretend, but pretending had never felt so natural or so dangerous. By the next morning, Ethan and Lily's fake relationship was all over the news. Tabloid headlines screamed, "Billionaire's new flame, mystery woman spotted on his arm. And who is the girl who stole Ethan Carter's heart?" Photos of them laughing at the gala were everywhere. In every picture, Ethan's hand rested on Lily's back, his eyes fixed on her like she was the only person in the room. They looked like the perfect couple, and the world was eating it up. Lily sat at Ethan's kitchen counter in his penthouse, her phone buzzing nonstop, with texts from friends asking if the rumors were true. She scrolled through online articles, cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "I can't believe this," she whispered, voice shaky. Ethan, fresh from a shower with damp hair and a towel slung over his shoulder, leaned over to see what she was reading. His eyes darkened as he scanned the headlines. "They're vultures," he muttered. "Ignore them." But Lily couldn't ignore it. Every article called her a nobody, questioning her past, her worth. She felt exposed, like the entire world was judging her. "This was a mistake," she said quietly, tears welling in her eyes. "I don't belong in your world." Ethan's chest clenched. He dropped the towel on a chair and stepped closer, gently tilting her chin up. "You're wrong," he said, his voice low but fierce. "You're the only one who sees me, the real me. You're the only person I've ever trusted." She blinked up at him, startled. His eyes were so close, so intense. It stole her breath. Their faces hovered inches apart, tension crackling between them. Just then, Ethan's phone rang. It was his assistant. "The press wants an official statement," she said briskly. "Should we confirm or deny your relationship?" Ethan's gaze stayed locked on Lily's eyes. He could almost hear his heart pounding in the silence between them. Finally, he answered, voice calm but certain. "Confirm it. She's my girlfriend." The assistant paused, surprised. "Understood, sir." Lily's eyes widened. "Ethan," she began, but he cut her off with a soft, almost pleading look. "I know we said this was pretend," he whispered, "but I need you to stay with me a little longer, just until this all blows over." Lily hesitated. She knew it was crazy, but something in Ethan's eyes made her nod. And so their game continued. But the world outside wasn't the only thing changing. Inside their hearts, something real was already starting to grow. The days that followed felt like a whirlwind. Ethan and Lily moved from one event to another. Fancy dinners, gallery openings, charity balls. Everywhere they went, cameras flashed. Reporters called out questions, and strangers whispered behind their backs. At first, it was all part of the plan. They held hands in public, posed for photos, and exchanged playful smiles for the cameras. But when the lights faded and the crowds left, they found themselves alone, and the quiet moments were the ones that changed everything. Late one night, they sat together on Ethan's penthouse balcony, city lights twinkling far below them like fallen stars. Lily hugged her knees to her chest, the cool breeze lifting strands of her hair. Ethan handed her a blanket, draping it gently over her shoulders. "I always thought this view would make me feel powerful," he admitted softly, eyes fixed on the skyline. "But most nights it just made me feel alone." Lily looked over, surprised by his honesty. "You don't have to feel alone anymore," she said quietly, "not when I'm here." Their eyes met, and the air seemed to thrum with something electric. Ethan reached out, brushing her hair from her face. His hand lingered on her cheek, thumb tracing her skin with a gentleness she hadn't expected from the man everyone called ruthless. The next morning, they cooked breakfast together. Lily laughed as Ethan fumbled with a spatula. Nearly burning the pancakes, he watched her, mesmerized by the way her eyes sparkled when she smiled. He couldn't remember the last time someone had filled his home with real laughter. One afternoon, he found her curled up in the library, reading a book she loved as a child. He joined her without a word, letting her rest her head on his chest, while he listened to her voice reading aloud. In those quiet hours, the lines between pretend and reality blurred more with each heartbeat. At night, he dreamed of her soft voice calling his name. She found herself thinking about him in the small moments, the way he opened doors for her, how he remembered how she took her coffee, the protective way his arm always found her in a crowd. Neither dared to say it yet, but they both felt it. The game was over. This was no longer pretend, and that terrified them more than anything. A week later, Ethan received an invitation that made his blood run cold. His ex, Isabella, was hosting a lavish gala to celebrate her engagement, and he and Lily were on the guest list. It was the first time they'd face Isabella together since their relationship began. That evening, the ballroom glittered with chandeliers and golden light. Guests arrived in sleek cars, the air thick with expensive perfume and gossip. Ethan stepped out with Lily on his arm, both of them dressed in black, a striking pair that made cameras flash wildly. As they entered, heads turned. Whispers rose around them like a wave. Isabella stood across the room, stunning in a crimson gown, when her eyes met Ethan's. A spark of challenge flashed there. She glided toward them with a calculated smile. "Ethan," she purred, voice dripping with sweetness that didn't reach her eyes. She looked Lily up and down slowly, dismissively, and Lily was it. My, you're even simpler in person than the pictures made you look. Lily's cheeks flamed. She started to step back, but Ethan tightened his arm around her protectively. Don't, he whispered firmly. He turned to Isabella, voice low but deadly calm. Say whatever you want about me, but don't you dare speak about her like that. The room fell silent. Isabella's smile froze. She blinked in surprise, clearly not expecting Ethan to stand up for anyone but himself. Lily's heart pounded. His words, simple as they were, felt like a shield around her. She looked up at Ethan, seeing not just the confident billionaire, but a man who truly cared. Isabella recovered quickly, letting out a brittle laugh that didn't fool anyone. Oh, Ethan, always so dramatic. We both know this relationship is just a game. Ethan's jaw clenched. He pulled Lily closer, his voice strong and sure. No, Isabella, the only game here is yours, and I'm done playing it. He took Lily's hand, leading her away from the stunned crowd. Each step felt like a declaration. They were in this together now, no matter how it had started. As they stepped into the cool night air, away from the ballroom's poison, Lily looked at him with wide, searching eyes. Did you mean what you said back there? She whispered. Ethan stopped, turning to her under the glow of streetlights. Every word, he said hoarsely. The ride home from Isabella's gala was silent. The limousine glided through city streets lit by glowing signs and red taillights. But inside the car, the air was thick with unspoken words. Lily stared out the window, replaying every cruel thing Isabella had said. Ethan sat beside her, fists clenched on his knees. He wanted to reach for her, but he didn't know how to make it right. When they arrived at the penthouse, Lily stepped out first, climbing the stairs quickly. Ethan followed, his voice low and desperate. Lily, wait. She spun around, eyes shining with hurt. This was all just a game, wasn't it? She choked out, all of it, every smile, every word, just to get back at Isabella. Ethan's chest tightened. It started that way. He admitted, his voice rough. But it's not like that anymore, Lily, I swear. She shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. Then what is it now? Because I can't tell what's real and what's fake anymore. And I can't do this if I'm just part of some plan. Ethan stepped closer, but Lily backed away. Pain etched on her face. You told me you'd protect me. She whispered, voice breaking. But you're the one who's hurt me the most. Her words cut deeper than any boardroom betrayal ever had. He reached for her again, but she slipped past him, retreating into the guest room and shutting the door quietly. The soft click of the latch felt louder than a gunshot. Alone in the hall, Ethan stood frozen. He had everything money could buy, but the one person he needed most was on the other side of that door, and he had no idea how to fix it. That night, neither of them slept. Lily cried into her pillow, heart aching with confusion and longing. Ethan sat outside her room, back against the wall, staring into the darkness with only one thought in his mind. I can't lose her. Morning light spilled into the penthouse, soft and golden, but there was no warmth in the silence between them. Ethan stood in the kitchen, untouched coffee growing cold in his hands. Every hour without Lily's smile felt like a lifetime. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. He stormed to the guest room, but found the bed empty, her things gone. Panic gripped him like a vice. He grabbed his coat and bolted outside, scanning the streets for any sign of her. He found her hours later, sitting alone in the tiny coffee shop where they'd spent countless afternoons as friends. Long before things got complicated, rain tapped gently on the windows, blurring the city outside. Lily stared at her mug, eyes distant and tired. Ethan stepped inside, soaked from the rain. Breathless, the bell above the door jingled softly as he crossed to her table. Lily, he whispered, voice cracking. She looked up, eyes red from crying. Why are you here? He dropped to his knees beside her chair, ignoring the stares of other customers. His voice trembled as he spoke. Because I can't let you walk away without telling you the truth. I thought I needed you to pretend, to help me save face, to make Isabella jealous. But every moment with you felt more real than anything I ever had with her. He swallowed hard, eyes locked on hers. I love you, Lily. I don't care what started this. I don't care what the world thinks. You're the only person who's ever seen me. The only person I want. Tears filled Lily's eyes. She searched his face, seeing the man she'd always known hiding behind the billionaire's mask. Vulnerable. Honest, desperate not to lose her. Say it again, she whispered shakily. Ethan's eyes glistened as he reached for her hands. I love you. I love you more than I ever knew I could. Outside, the rain fell harder, but inside, the world grew warm and quiet as Lily threw her arms around him. Their kiss tasted of tears and hope, and in that moment, both of them knew this was no longer pretend. This was the start of something real. The next morning, the sun rose over the city, casting a warm golden light through Ethan's penthouse. But this time, it wasn't the view that took his breath away. It was Lily, curled up beside him on the couch, her head resting on his chest. They'd fallen asleep talking, wrapped in each other's arms as if they'd always belonged there. When she stirred, he looked down. Heart full, "Good morning," he whispered, brushing a lock of hair from her face. She blinked up at him, a sleepy smile spreading across her lips. Good morning. For the first time in weeks, the tension was gone. Breakfast was simple, pancakes and coffee, but they laughed over burnt edges and stolen kisses. The kitchen filled with warmth. Each smile, each touch felt like a quiet promise. This was real and it was theirs. Later that day, Ethan took Lily to the park where they'd first met as teenagers. A soft breeze rustled the leaves, and children's laughter echoed around them. He stopped under the same oak tree where he'd first shared his dreams with her years ago. "This is where I realized you were my best friend," he said softly, "but I was too blind to see you were also my heart." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, velvet box. Lily's eyes went wide, hands flying to her mouth. "Lily," Ethan said, his voice low and shaking, "I don't want to pretend anymore. I don't want to spend another day without you knowing how much I love you. Will you marry me for real this time?" Tears filled Lily's eyes as she nodded, laughing and crying all at once. "Yes, Ethan, yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into his arms. Around them, the world kept moving. But in that moment, nothing else existed except the two of them. Finally, where they were always meant to be. And so, what began as a game to heal old wounds became the greatest love story of their lives. One written not by jealousy or lies, but by friendship, trust, and a love so real it changed them forever. Years later, Ethan and Lily stood hand in hand at the edge of a quiet lake, the sunset painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. Their wedding bands glistened in the fading light, symbols of a love that had grown stronger with every passing day. Nearby, their little daughter ran barefoot through the grass, her giggles ringing out like music. Ethan scooped her up, spinning her around until she squealed with joy. Lily watched them, heart so full it felt like it might burst. She still remembered the first time Ethan had asked her to pretend. How scared she'd been, how sure she was that it would break them forever. But it hadn't. Instead, their love had bloomed in the cracks of their fears, growing into something real, unshakable, and more beautiful than either had ever dreamed. As they stood together in the soft evening light, Ethan kissed Lily's forehead, whispering words he never stopped saying, "I love you, I always will." And Lily smiled, knowing their forever had only just begun. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and join us for more unforgettable tales of love, hope, and second chances. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.